Hey folks, it's Amar here at Sales for Life, and welcome to another edition of the Social Success Factor. Well, I've been dying to get this guest on the show for a good 6 to 8 months now. So let me introduce you without further ado to Jack Kosakowski. Jack is a regional sales manager. He's at Acton, a premier marketing automation software provider. And Jack has a really interesting story. He's had a meteoric rise in the social selling circles. He's one of the top salespeople that I've met, period. He's really good at what he does. And I couldn't wait to have his message come to you directly. So, Jack, thank you so much for your time. And I'm really honored and I'm super happy that you've taken the time to get on the show here. So,
Well,
thanks.
shoot, why don't we can we do that intro again, man? I'm starting to feel really good about myself after that. So, I don't know. That's pretty big words. So I guess I have to live up to that, right?
I have to do something because you got more than 10,000 Twitter followers in less than, I think it was 3 to 4 months. So, great job. So Jack, let's jump right in, man. Why social media in the sales process today? Go.
Why not, right? Look at all the noise, right? I mean, if we're trying to get to people through email, we're trying to get a hold of people on the phone. We all know how that's going, right? I'm not going to drop any percentages on you, but you can look those up. We're trying to get a hold of people through all of this noise, right? I mean, every single solution out there right now has 50,000 competitors. Buyers, you can get on the phone with them right now and you can show them ROI all day long. You can show them how you're going to help move the needle. You're going to do this, that. But I mean, really what it comes down to is buyers don't trust anyone, right? I mean, they've been either screwed on other technologies or they bought technologies. They didn't have the time, the resources. And now they're just really scared to buy no matter what you showed them, right, in a presentation. But what I can tell you is that buyers buyers are buying on their own schedule now, and buyers have all of the information at their fingertips through the internet, and buyers are going to start buying from people and asking questions to their friends and everybody else. It's going to be a huge trust factor. I think that the only way that you could build the trust anymore, and I hate this whole like relationships, because really relationships don't equal ROI. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I know a lot of good people that could build awesome relationships, but social media, you got to build a relationship with the right people, right, at the right time, and with the right solution. I mean, plain and simple. And if you're not on social, you're not visible, and people that aren't visible typically have a smaller network, right? I mean, you got to be visible to really build relationships, right, with the right people. And that's what social media has done for me, right, is just being visible.
Let me ask a follow-on question to that, and that's a great answer. What about all those salespeople? Sometimes they're old school, right? Maybe they've been in the game for the last 15, 20, 25 years, and they say, well, I've got a Rolodex, Jack. Thank you very much. I know exactly how to get a hold of buyers. Social is not it. I'm going to stick to tried and true methods like phone and email. What do you say to
Perfect.
that?
I say perfect. Don't break anything that's not broken, right? I mean, if you got a Rolodex and you're generating business without social media and you're happy with where you're at, stay there, right? My mom's in real estate, and she gets 90% of her business through Chamber of Commerce and some other networking events. I've talked to my mom about social, but why would she go do social? She's crushing it. She's crushing her annual number every year. Don't do social. I'm not talking about the people that are crushing it, right? I mean, you could do that if you want, right? I always say this, like the value for social for people that are doing really well is, why don't you go out and educate people, right? Um, that's my favorite part about social selling, education, right? And if you're really successful, then go leverage social for a different reason, not to generate more revenue, but to generate and educate other people on what you know and add value to their day.
That's what I like about what you're doing because you were already crushing it. You technically didn't need social to crush your 2014 numbers, right? Like you and I have talked about your numbers. You're one of the top reps and you were doing great. And social is your ability to do outreach and quite frankly just give back to our sales community, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I work for a marketing automation company, and I'll tell you, Acton um, is one of the premier, right? And we are a lead generation company. I mean, my company can generate leads from me, right, all day long. Now, do I rely solely on my company's leads? No, but I do rely on them for a certain amount of my business because we're in a tough, competitive industry in the SaaS space. But I do leverage social for a lot of other reasons. I think that there's a misconception sometimes that it's all about the prospect piece, right? It's all about generating a lead or generating business, and it's not. It's really about just staying in touch with people, right? Being visible, helping and educating others on what your product does. Outside of that, I don't talk a lot about marketing automation or my product because my company does a good enough job of writing back content.
Yeah.
What I do is I try to reach out and I try to connect with your everyday sales rep, your everyday marketer, because I'm doing things, call it passion or whatever, and the amount of hours I put into this, it's not all for me, right? I mean, I could hit my quota without social selling. I mean, I'm a good sales rep, right? A good sales rep's going to hit their quota no matter what. I don't care what anybody says. But I find a lot of value in helping those 80% of sales reps that don't hit quota, right? Or have a tough time hitting quota because A, maybe they're not trained properly by their company, right? Or B, they're not listening to anybody because they don't feel that anybody's actually doing in their that's in their scenario. And that's one thing that I noticed when I got into social selling was that there's a lot of marketers that talk about social selling, which is great. And don't get me wrong, keep talking about it. There's a lot of people that talk about why you should do social selling, but the problem is that there is not a lot of content on how to do social selling. And I think that that's where the frustration came in to a lot of executives and everybody is like, well, why this term, social selling is like, what a played out term, like, yeah, it's just sales. Well, not really, because I wrote 3 infographics, and I can tell you right now that if you went and looked at the social selling processes that I put on there that I live on a daily basis, I would dare you to find 1 or 2 reps in most companies that are even doing the basics of social, which the basics of social, just that little bit of, social selling, right? Because it's just a little piece of pie, can add 1, 2, 3 new opportunities a month. And 2 or 3 deals for me in SaaS, even if it's 2 or 3 deals a year, it's completely worth my time.
Yeah, it's completely worth your time. So, I mean, you're hitting the nail on a totally different topic here, which is around what do you say to people that say, let's not even use the term social selling, that it's just selling, right? We've all heard it in the marketplace. So what's your take on that? Is it just selling, Jack? Or is
No,
social, or are we still in that time frame with social that we're still going to be able to call it social selling? What's your take on that?
no, we can't call it sales, and I'll tell you why. Because there's not enough education and not enough adoption, and people aren't doing things right now to actually get sales. So, and that's my opinion. Like I wrote an infographic that says, okay, let's break down the term social selling and why we have to call it social selling. There's social media marketing plus selling, right? So there's 2 kind of arts to this. Now, I will say that at the most basic level, you have a lot of different types of social sellers, right? And you can get value out of social media in so many different ways if you're educated correctly. So it doesn't mean you have to be on social a long time. I don't think you should be. Like I'm on social way too much. I'm an addict. I'll tell you right now, I'm a Twitter addict. We all know that, right? I'll be the first one to admit that. But I'm on it for a completely different reason now than just social selling. But a typical rep, might just be prospecting on LinkedIn, right? And then going and, finding more information on Twitter and Google Plus and kind of just connecting all those dots so that they really have what they need to make a conscious decision as to whether or not that's going to be a good company to go after and to know enough about them so that when they do get into the conversation, however that may be, phone, email, social, that they are prepared to be able to actually get the other person on the side of the phone to engage, because we all know how hard it is to get somebody to, to open up, to trust you, which is the conversation. But it's how do we get to the conversation? And when we get to the conversation, how do we know what we're talking about enough to keep that conversation going? Because we know that, emotion causes motion. And the only way people get emotional is if you can connect to something that's important to them, and you have to do research in order to get to know what that is to get that emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much motion through emotion have you had in terms of impact on pipeline? And this is a question I ask everyone that I do this interview with. So here's the question. What percentage of Jack Kosakowski's pipeline is derived / influenced from social selling?
So I'm going to tell you right now that one area that I dropped the ball in a while back, and I fixed that, right? I think we talked about this last time you were in town, is like the data analytics, right? Data and analytics is huge for social selling. And when I first started this, I really, was kind of trying to figure that stuff out on my own, right? I read some of your guys' blogs, read Jill Bradley stuff, Kevin Thomas Tolley, there's Gabe, Phil Mazar. I read a lot of their stuff, and that's kind of how I self-taught, right? I tested stuff, but my VP of sales asked me this question about last quarter, and I said, you know what? As far as generating new business, I would say 30%, 20 to 30% of my quota was generated from it, relationships or people that had reached out to me or whatever. But I would say that's 60% minimum. I was touching people on social in some sort of way. Okay, whether that was being an advocate for them after we had a demo, and before I connected on LinkedIn, got connected with them, dripped a little bit of information in my social feed, because I'll tell you right now, the most powerful drip campaign you can do is to be connected with somebody on LinkedIn, right, on Twitter, because that's where people really look at your content, in my opinion. And I have links and data to back that up, but email anymore is just bombarded, right? Marketing automation is taken over and people are using it the wrong way. A lot of people. So I have 258 unread open emails in my inbox right now, and I'm just sales rep. I can't make decisions.
Yeah.
But I have people that think I'm a decision maker. But I can go put something into LinkedIn and drip it about, act on something new that's going on, or a lot of my content I don't talk about, act on our marketing automation. It's something just to add value to my network of what's latest and greatest. But I'll get a lot of engagement on that. And that's a big piece of it, is the nurturing piece as you're going through the sales process, to stay in front of the people that you're trying to get your solution into, without sending them and asking them for something. How many sales reps, all they do, I dare you as a sales rep right now, go in your inbox in your email and look at every single email, and you tell me, is there one email to any of your prospective clients that doesn't ask them for something? Hey, when can we meet next? When can we get the decision maker to see this? Hey, when can we, get this all wrapped up, right? It's always about us. We don't know it. We don't realize it.
Yeah.
But what social selling allows you to do is take it away from you and quit being a salesperson and start being an advocate. And when you can do that, it changes the game.
So basically, social for you is just, it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It's at the top of the funnel. You're nurturing with it. You're using social to help kind of move the deals along in the funnel already. So you're just using it. So let's just say
every scenario is different. I mean,
every scenario is different, right?
Yeah. I mean, every scenario is different. There's not one way that I use social selling. Sometimes I don't use social selling. Well, if the guy or the woman that I'm trying to sell to, the executive, is not on social, how am I going to use social selling? Well, I mean, there are other ways. Don't get me wrong, but you don't always have to use social. But I would tell you this: why wouldn't you? You're probably at work all day looking at Facebook. What did my buddy from high school and his girlfriend do this weekend? Like, who cares? Like, start learning how to use social right to get a result. And I think that's a big problem right now. It's like, even at the most basic level, all the time that sales reps spend at work on their computer looking at social media and not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because we're really good at that in sales. If they were only educated on how they could do that same thing but get an end result of ROI, this is a completely different conversation.
I love that line. I think that's going to be the line from this interview: is use social to get a result. Whatever that sales result you're trying to achieve, whether you're trying to move a prospect 1 inch closer to the finish line, over the next couple of weeks, use social to help you in that endeavor. Of course, use email. Of course, use the phone and all the other traditional methods, but use
it
social
all. Because if you're good at sales, you have to use everything. And you know what?
I totally agree, Jack.
No deal gets done unless there's a conversation. And you can't have a conversation unless you're in person or on the phone. So, be smart about how you use social. And I will tell you this other thing. What a lot of people don't realize is I like the hashtag on Instagram for a reason is like live your brand, right? So on a daily basis, I commit a lot of time to social media to talk or to motivate or educate, whatever that may be. But when I'm on vacation with my wife and I'm posting a picture of us in Mexico at President's Club or whatever, everything I do is strategic, right? Because your life is the same as your career. I don't care what anybody says. Like people buy from people, and that old saying. But if you get connected to them on social and they see you at that human level, but they see all your success, who are they going to probably call when it's their time to buy marketing automation?
Absolutely agreed. There's
I'm always social selling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My social is not about me. It's about my network and educating and adding value, but then showing me on the human level. And you know what? Someday you might not be ready to buy right now, but I hope that you call me if you do when that time comes.
Absolutely. There's a sales rep at Bullhorn, another software SaaS company in Europe. His name's Yeli Dandunen, and I've interviewed him just like I'm interviewing you right now, Jack. And Yeli says virtually the same thing you're saying, which is people subconsciously connect with successful people. The more you're out there, the more you're demonstrating the life that you live. And I know this is all Zig Ziglar-y and Tony Robbins-esque, and it
I
sounds
mean,
really
it's just
hokey
common sense,
pokey,
but it's not.
but it's true, guys. I can't stress this enough. The more you're social yourself, the more they see you, physically see you, moving your lips and talking and being yourself, exerting your personality, the more chance at success you have because people connect with people on a human and an emotional level, right? I
Well,
completely agree
to
with you,
dive
Jack.
deeper into that,
Yeah,
just
I'm
one,
going to
one
ask
last
you
point, but to
one.
dive,
Sorry, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to dive one little piece of that is
Please, yeah.
that visibility, right? So I just wrote a blog about how salespeople need to start writing content. And the reason that I say that is, everything we do in sales starts with visibility, right? Credibility and conversation. And in this day and age, if you want to be a sales rep and you're going to be in a competitive space like SaaS, marketing automation, when it comes down to it, we're equal to a lot. I would say that there's a couple other solutions that we're all, right there, right? We all do the same thing. And then it really comes down to the value of the relationship. But when you're got limited time with your buyers and they come to a head, a headbutt of who are we going to buy? Like we just can't figure it out, right? Like they both look like they're going to do the job. The price is right there. Now it's going to come down to the sales rep. And when they go to your LinkedIn profile and you've got content that they see, that they read, or they see it on social, wherever it is, and they see that the sales rep is adding a ton of value outside of just the solution, who do you think they're going to buy from?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, right? Because I've written extensively on the same topic, just like you have. And, in the corporate world, call it the way it is, it's almost frowned upon when salespeople write their own content. It's almost like companies feel that reps are taking away the juice that the marketing department should be bringing, and that we have to be so, in most companies today, we're living in a Henry Ford type assembly line model that you're in sales, pick up these widgets, assemble them, and shove it to the next part of the line.
Marketing markets, sales sells, right?
Yeah.
Marketing? No, absolutely not. Because I'll tell you right now, I dare you to go look at the 4 different thought leadership sources that you use right now that you educate yourself on whatever it is daily. And I can guarantee you there's it might be a brand, but it's one of their sales reps writing it or one of their marketers writing it, right? From their everyday experience. Those are the people that's the content people want to read. And if you're a company that thinks you're going to go out and buy content and get people to read it, you're out of your mind. Now, if a sales rep writes something and posts it on his personal profile and somebody sees that, they are going to read that and be able to emotionally connect with them because I do what they do on a daily basis. I can actually educate or fix their problem. Now they're going to associate the brand with that content, right? People associate a brand with the sales rep content. It's a completely different game, and I dare you, to argue with your daily process of how you read content, how you consume content. It's not through brands. It's through people and humans in the brand that you're really connecting with, which is subconsciously connecting you with the brand. And when companies figure that out, and the ones that do, they're going to go right past everybody else.
I think right now it's all about control, right? People and companies and people in companies in charge are afraid to give control. They're afraid what will happen to the sales rep if their brand gets bigger than the company's. Then there's a much lower chance that the buyer will be retained in the long run. So
Hey, scared money doesn't make money,
yeah,
and scared content doesn't make engagement or engaged readers or really valuable leads, right? I mean, it all comes down to this. My thing is, if you don't trust your employees, right, to write content, or even you can have like my editor at Acton, she reads all my content before I post it, right? I just do that out of respect for my company. But really, what it comes down to is, if you don't trust your employees, or you don't think that they're competent enough to write some content, once in a while, then you're probably hiring the wrong people, right? Just put some checks and balances in place. And my thing is, content's expensive, right? I mean, you got to go out and hire a marketer. You've got employees you're paying salaries to already. It's another way for you as an organization to get more value out of your employees that you're already paying a salary to.
yeah, yeah.
Think about it like that.
Yep, I definitely see your point on that. Okay, one last question for you. For the sales reps not on social today, they're kind of sitting on the fence. Maybe they're just dabbling in social, but they're not into it, full steam just yet. What words of wisdom would you impart on them? Like, what's the Jack Kosakowski 1-minute primer on go social, and here's why?
Well, if you're a competitor of mine, do not get on social. Stay off social. I just love that. Anyways, go slow, right? Like one little thing at a time. Don't try to master Twitter and LinkedIn at the same time. Like, go into LinkedIn and try to figure out a few little pieces of the pie that will get you an advantage, whether that's research, a special type of research, or engagement, right? If you want to go on Twitter, start Twitter out light, right? Do a couple Twitter chats. Like, do everything slow and educate yourself as well. Like, get a little passionate about it. I will tell you that social media is driven by passion and commitment, right? And I have, the one thing I have that I noticed that's tough to get other reps to adopt is a commitment. I have commitment to social. I have a commitment to sales. I love them both, and I know that I can integrate the two. But I started slow, right? And every day I just get a little bit better, right? I just connect. My thing is connect. This is my last piece of the pie. If you're in sales right now, if the only conversations that you're having on a daily basis are with people that you're trying to sell something, you're doing it wrong. You always have to have sales conversations, but all that downtime you have, you could just use social. Just make it like a KPI. Like, hey, I'm going to reach out to another company, and I'm going to look at a company that complements what we do. And I'm going to talk to one of their reps, and I'm just going to say, hey, man, I would love to see what you guys do. I do that. I get on demos with sales reps at other companies, and I just build a relationship with them. I ask them, hey, what does your product do? I might have clients that could help you, right? That you could, I'm sorry, I might have clients that you could help with your solution, and vice versa, right? Build relationships and build your networks wisely, because those conversations that you have that aren't about your product will probably generate more ROI in the future than the ones that you talk about every day trying to just sell. Try not to sell everybody for once.
Yeah, it's a great idea, Jack. It's essentially bring your referral-based selling mindset online. That's all you're talking about. Build a network.
I'll give Jill Rally. The network is your net worth, right? If you got a small network, good luck.
Absolutely agreed. Jack, thanks so much for being here. I know we've gone over time, and I really want to appreciate you and your time with our audience. And man, continued success to you. I think you're going to crush it no matter where you are and whatever you're doing. And I wish you nothing but the best. Let's keep in touch, and let's get you back here in the next 1, 2, 3 quarters for another big Jack Kosakowski update.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to see you guys at Sales for Life killing it too. So, keep up what you guys are doing. And at the end of the day, it's like there's a small network of people doing this, and we got to stick together because we do know the value. And I think we know what we know, but people don't know what we know quite yet, right? So we got to be smart about how we, portray that message. And
Absolutely. Well said. Thanks again, Jack. Appreciate your time.
All right, brother.
Folks, this is Amar signing off. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Social Success Factor.